Hello and welcome back to Lyre. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Ritcher found the king dead. And he was found by the bear guard, and he was almost killed, but he was saved by Lyall, who had to basically arrest Ritcher, because otherwise he would have been, killed by the bear. And yeah, and this was all after they had a nice little evening together. So, anyways, well, let's continue and see what happens to poor Ritcher. Chapter 7, Day 21. Reality slowly drifts in front of my face in a similar way to how a ray of sunshine would cast a red glow on the inside of your eyelids. Every day, waking up becomes harder and harder. Sometimes I can't even understand if this is a normal thing or if I'm just weak. I never was a morning person. Slowly, each of my 5 senses comes back to me. I immediately remember where I am and why I'm here. Usually when I wake up in a new and unfamiliar place, I'm struck with a bit of confusion before realizing where I am. It's different this time though. This isn't like waking up in another person's house after spending the night with them. This is different because the events that led to it haunted my dreams. I knew I was going to wake up to this. Images of Rainier's body slumped onto the floor with soulless eyes invade my mind, but I try not to think about any of that yet, as I'm not fully awake. I strain my eyes open wider and wipe the feeling of dried tears from my face. The stone bench that I'm lying down on is cold and smooth. Painfully, I sit up and look around. What I assumed to be a sack that I was laying my head on was actually a pillow made from straw and ragged cloth. There's a large tarp bundled up at the end of the bench, which I guess is supposed to be a blanket. I wasn't too cold last night, but I wish I had known that it was there. This cell wouldn't be bad if the bed wasn't a giant slab of rock. I'd better off sleeping on the floor. The only window is a small hole busted into the wall that's barred off. On the other side is a cell door that's locked with heavy chains. Along with that is straw laid all over the floor and a few bundles of water. The shackles that I wore for a short time last night are laying there in a pile of straw. That's where they must have fallen after Lyall took them off of me. I get up from my sitting position and stand, stretching out my legs and arms. My clothes feel dusty and any kind of skin I have exposed feels dry and dirty. My hair feels messy and I shake my head, letting it straighten itself before haphazardly tying back again. I don't really care about it looking nice anymore. I would rather not have any hair in my eyes. I'd cut it, but I have a feeling Lyall likes it too much. Lyall. He said he would come back for me, but he didn't say when. Now that I think about it, why hasn't anything happened yet? Shouldn't someone have come down to see me now, good or bad intentions? I sit back down on the slab of stone. My mind seems to be all over the place. I can't decide what to think about. I try to distract myself with other issues, but my thoughts always wander back to the worst place. Rainier is dead. They all think I did it. Except Lyall, of course. I'm honestly surprised he doesn't think it's me, though. The body was freshly killed, and I was the only one there. If only I could function better under stress. I can't believe this. If I wanted to kill Rainier, I probably would have planned it so I'm not standing there like an idiot when it happens. Shock really took me over there, and I also got another one of those sudden headaches. If I get out of this, I need to get those checked out. Whatever they are caused by, it can't be good. Tapping my feet on the ground in front of me, I notice a chair that's been thrown against the wall. Its pieces are scattered all over the floor and look old and rotten. Who could have killed him? Several people come to mind, but when I think about it, I don't know what any of them are capable of. Nobody reasonable really comes to mind. There is only one thing that I am certain of, though. That I was framed. Someone has it out for me, and I don't know who. I could sit here and rack my brain for hours, but I soon hear footsteps echoing down the damp hall. I don't get up from my seat until I really start to listen to the footsteps. They're extremely familiar. I jump up and run to the cell door. Lyall? He gets closer, and soon I can see him down the bend of the hall. Richter. He approaches the door to the cell. There is a look of worry on his face, and I can tell he's been having a rough day. He probably has it worse than I do. I limply reach my hand through one of the bars. He gets on his knees and takes it in his paw. I'm sorry. I should have come down sooner. I wasn't able, though. Why not? His sad and tired eyes look up at mine, and I can see the stress. The entire kingdom is in shambles. Rumors are already beginning to spread throughout the town, and everyone thinks that you killed Raynor. It's only a matter of time before this spreads throughout the rest of the north. I figured that would happen. Has anything worse happened? No, but the worst is yet to come. Everyone is scared, confused, and furious. I and several others were up half the night with Liz trying to wrap our heads around it. Others? Yes. Anyone who was a witness and several other officials. The prince joined us halfway through. How was he taking it? Not well. The bell started ringing and he locked himself in his room after finding out. He didn't even want to see the body, but to be honest, I wouldn't want to see it either if I were him. One of the guards told me that he could hear sobbing and things being thrown around the room. Oh God. He probably thinks I did it. I wouldn't blame him, but I really don't need more reasons for him to hate me right now. He joined us about an hour later. Not before kicking over your chair, of course. I can imagine that. Well, he can honestly be forgiven for losing his temper. Agreed. He had enough stability to contribute to our little debate last night, however. What has been discussed so far? He sits down in front of the cell door and leans his head back against the wall. I do the same, finding a nice pile of straw to sit down on. We mostly try to figure out what we were going to do next. Laying our king to rest was one of the topics. That should be taken care of soon. I still can't believe he's dead. Neither can I. He wanted to be buried next to his wife. Behind the gardens? Yeah. How did you know where she was buried? I was taking a walk through the gardens after we visited the village when I happened upon the grave. Raynor was there, and we talked for a bit. You came back to my room drunk that night, so I didn't get to tell you. Yeah. He was paying his respects, and I caught him in a bit of a vulnerable moment. After that, we just talked for a bit. He went there every month. Right now, they're already making the arrangements to have him buried there. The biggest topic was what this means. Some see this as an act of war, but I doubt that. I feel there's something far more sinister at play. I feel the same way. Given the exchange of ambassadors was proposed by the Kingdom of Erin, Prince Andreas thinks that you were sent to cause chaos and weaken Lyre. That's ridiculous! Erin would never dream of starting conflict between the kingdoms. Why would they want to start a war with Lyre and Dries? That's not what they're thinking. A majority of people see this as an attack on Lyre from both kingdoms. What? They have reason to suspect that Dries is a part of this plot. The Kingdom of Lyre has been becoming more and more isolated over the years. Trade has been slowing down, and they have suspicions that Erin and Dries are trying to seize control to benefit themselves. At least, that's what I heard. I'm not a politician. This doesn't make any sense. Seize control? Improving relations between the kingdoms is the desirable outcome, simply due to the fact that all the kingdoms would benefit equally. Starting a conflict, let alone a full-on war, would be detrimental to the entirety of Tygren. No. I don't think that's what's happening. Neither do I. It just doesn't make any sense. Either way, even though Lord Kadaj was appointed Minister of Foreign Relations, Prince Andreas considers him a political hostage. Nothing too serious has been decided yet, considering Dries is only under suspicion of collusion. I assure you, I haven't been scheming with Kadaj. I know. Trust me, Richter, I believe you. I can't help but remember the conversation that Kadaj and I had the other day. The fear that Lyre is falling out of touch with the rest of the kingdoms. So it's true. The kingdoms do fear that Lyre is falling out of touch. Even some of the citizens of Lyre feel this way. But he said his goal was to bring stability. So he couldn't have a hand in this. Could he? I don't remember seeing him before I left the party last night. Thankfully, Liz somewhat agrees with me. Really? Yes. She also believes that there's something far more complex going on here. The only bad part is that she's still conflicted on whether she thinks you're the one who did it or not. That makes sense. She doesn't really know me. And anything she does know would definitely be confusing. I try to convince all of them that you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That you were framed. What did they think of that? Liz seemed to consider it as a possibility. Prince Andreas is currently blinded by hatred, but in the near future I can see him considering it as well. I doubt that. It's nice to hear that I'm not seen as completely guilty yet. Each moment we continue to talk about this, and every second I learn what's happening, I get more and more stressed. There's another thing. He sits up a bit and leans towards the cell door. We have a lot more information considering the scene of the murder. That's what I've been doing most of the time. Was there anything that could prove my innocence? Nothing yet. But there has been some very helpful insight. Like what? Well, first, there's the body. He was stabbed twice in the stomach, once in the chest, and then most likely had his throat slit to finish the job. Raynor was most likely caught off guard. His antlers tore through the drapes after getting caught in a struggle. We found flakes of gold stuck to the cloth next to the ribs. They were from the antler that he decorated for the ball. I feel my insides twist around a bit as I recall the image of the room. Yes, that's interesting, but are there any important revelations? Yes, there is. The guards confirmed to us the people who have been in the room around the time before his death. Who else was there? The guards posted outside of the staircase that leads up to the tower to his room confirmed that 4 people have been in there around that time. One of the guards, Bjorn, Lord Kadaj, you, and of course, Raynor. With Bjorn going in and out within the hour. I knew it. What? Kadaj wasn't at the party when we left, was he? I don't remember seeing him. I think he and Raynor must have slipped out early. Maybe to take care of something similar to what he had in mind with me? That is most likely what happened. We questioned him a little last night, and he said that he was handling some important business with Raynor. Official questioning hasn't begun yet, but maybe he knows what happened. Or maybe... He leans forward in interest. What? Maybe he had a hand in it? His eyes gleam with shock at first, but I see his thoughts, and watch as he considers a possibility as if he's already done it before. Even I have to admit it's not something I would want to believe, but given the things he's said in the past, he's not far off. He alluded to events going in an undesirable direction after the winter solstice. Lyall speaks up. It's not possible. Bjorn is currently giving his full report to Liz, so we'll find out soon, I guess. But yes, it's completely possible for him to have done it. Do you think he did it? Like Lyall said, it's possible, but I don't want to believe it. Bjorn could have done it too. Are we sure no one else was in there that night? Positive. Not only do we have Bjorn's brief report, but several canines, including myself, sniffed around the room. Oh yeah, that would be helpful. I forgot you could do that. It's funny to imagine Lyall with his nose pressed to the ground, sniffing like a bloodhound. I doubt that's how he did it, though. Yes. And we only picked up the scent of 4 people. Those are the people who were noted. Damn. There goes my hopes of it being someone else. There's a long silence before I finally answer his question from before. You asked if I think it's him. The thing is, I don't want it to be, but it definitely could be. I agree. But I thought you didn't trust them. Or, at the very least, didn't like him. He slumps down lower in his sitting position. I didn't trust him because I saw him as a man with a motive. Someone who wanted to climb the ranks. But I never would have imagined he would do something like this. He pinches the part of his muzzle between his eyes and runs a paw over his head. I too want to believe that it wasn't him. But only because it would mean Dryers had nothing to do with this. He lowers his paw and looks at the floor. That would leave Bjorn. If it was him, then it would mean it's not a foreign attack, which would make this much more complicated. But I also don't think it could be him. He's always been a beast, but his devotion to this kingdom is unchallenged. I guess that makes sense. Still, it has to be one of them. Unless... What is it? Andreas. What if he... It's not out of the question, but it's extremely improbable. Especially with the evidence we have so far. What if it was patricide? What? What are you saying? You know what patricide is, right? Of course I know what patricide is. You think Andreas killed his dad? I shrug my shoulders. It's not an impossibility. He wasn't in the room at the time, though. I know. He was out in the village last night. I saw him by the fountain. Lyall thinks for a moment. That explains why the exit to the tunnel was unlocked. But still, you said it yourself. He wasn't even there. You don't have to be in the same room as someone to have them killed. Even so, we don't know if he was out there the whole night. What motive would he have? He says this in a hushed whisper, annoyance in his voice. Not everyone needs a motive, but his is easy to figure out. Richter. He cuts himself off and thinks for a moment. Don't you think you're being a little biased? No. I mean, we have to consider all possibilities. He looks down at the ground and wrinkles his snout. I understand what you're saying. And I know you also don't like him. I know he doesn't like you too. Hell, even I'm not particularly fond of him. Lately, they may have been a bit distant or short with each other due to stress, but you've been here a month. You haven't seen their full relationship. He loved his father. And his father loved him. He bites his lip a bit, but continues. Last night, he was enraged. He was going through so many emotions, and they all felt genuine. And you know how I'm a good judge of these things. I know, I just thought I would throw it out there. I just had this feeling that it might be true. Why? I don't know for sure. He's been saying things to me recently, and I have the feeling that he has it out for me. He curls his lip in response to this. And not too long ago, Kadaj gave me some advice. To trust my own judgment and rely on what I know. And put trust in other people, but never as much as I trust myself. Lyall runs a paw through his fur, listening intently. I can just feel it in my gut that he has something to do with this. His paw brushes up against his knee as he considers it. I don't know, Richter. Maybe you're right, but we should stop throwing around suspects. By that logic, we could suspect the damn servant that saw me practically half naked last night. Maybe he killed the king and went to go and frame you. He exhales and gathers himself. But that doesn't mean that he was the one who did it. We have to focus on the solid suspects that we have now. That's our best chance at proving your innocence. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through my body, straight up to my head. Shouldn't we be considering all of our options? My life depends on it. I shout this at him, the searing pain taking over. This upsets him, and once the pain is gone, I instantly regret it. I'm sorry, Lyall. I didn't mean to yell at you, It's fine. I understand. I know that this must be stressful for you. No, it's more than that. I'm just tired of talking about this. I just... I lay back on the floor and stare at the ceiling. Something's wrong with me. Like what? I'm not sure. Mainly, it's these headaches I've been having, but it's something else too. I feel like things are going so fast. Like I'm on a carriage going down a hill and there's no way to stop it. I pause to collect my thoughts knowing I'm about to go on a very large rant. I've always tried to keep a level head. I was trained to become a master of my emotions. But sometimes I slip. Situations become too stressful and nothing prepares you for what happened last night. I froze. And it's been happening all the time. I get stressed out and make impulsive decisions and do stupid things. I run my hands through my hair and squint at my eyes, the pain still thumping in my head. Lyall, I'm so scared. He shuffles on the ground a bit and then leans forward, a solemn look on his face. I know how you feel, Richter. Believe me, I do. Sometimes we try to do our best to be prepared for anything. He looks down at his paw, opening and closing the fingers. But fear gets the better of us. Sometimes it can control us and influence our actions. He looks out the window to our left, with a conflicted expression on his face. Richter, do you know the reason why I blamed myself for our queen's death? Why is he bringing this up? It's because you could have stopped it, right? Yes. He stares off into space for a moment before continuing. When I had my eye cut, I couldn't move. Blood was pouring into my eye and I thought the worst had happened. Fear took over and I froze. He rubs his palm over his eye. My officer tried to shake me and get me up, but I lost my footing. I wasn't in the moment. Everything happened so fast and I was scared. These words echo down the corridor. He looks up at me. That haunted me for a long time, Richter. I even approached Raynor about it a few years ago because of the pain. I asked him, how could I have been brave in that situation? He gave me some advice. He said, you can't be brave unless you are afraid. Along with, otherwise, you're just reckless, but that's besides the point. He gives a slight smile. And he's right. You have to stay brave. Fear can help with that. With that, he ends his speech. I guess I understand what you're saying. I aimlessly fiddle with the ring on my finger as I take it all in. I'll need to work on that. It's pretty good advice. He was full of good advice. Lyall says this with a sense of pride. You really admired him, didn't you? It was more than just your dedication as a knight. I did. Ever since I started living here, he was like my second father. I was practically raised by him in my teen years. Please tell me you've had time to grieve. Not really. I have to focus on what's going on now. It's what he would have wanted me to do. He would be very proud of you, Lyall. He gives a slight smile. I hope so. And I'm gonna make him even more proud. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you out of here, love. Raynor may be dead, but I'm going to continue to follow through with the orders he gave me. I will assist you in any way I can. He stands and sticks a paw through the bars. I get up and take it in my own hand. I love you, Lyall. I love you too, Richter. I just hope we're doing the right thing. You know, by being together. What do you mean? Well, it's just that... I love you, Richter. But you said everything was moving too fast. And if you wanted to slow down, we can. I run my hands over his paw, feeling the pads beneath the glove and running my fingers along his. Lyall, I wouldn't say this from my experience, but I know one thing about this world. Love happens in all kinds of ways. Sometimes it's slow, other times it's fast. Sometimes it's between people who are similar, and sometimes it's between people who are very, very different. I say this as I run my hand across his cheek. You're very different from me. It's happening very fast, and it happened at a very chaotic time in our lives. But this is the only fast thing in my life that I am enjoying. You're my light in the dark. He leans forward, pressing his snout through the bars and gives me a kiss on the forehead. You make me so happy, Richter. Next time I come down here to visit you, I'm going to see about unlocking this door. Maybe I'll even get you better living arrangements, but I don't know if I have control over that. I definitely put you in one of the better selves, though. I appreciate everything you've done so far. He gives a slight, bashful smile. Speaking of, I should probably be going. I have a lot to do and I can't be gone for long. Oh yes, I'm sure our new king is just itching to order you around. I say this rolling my eyes. Actually, he's still the prince. Really? But he's the heir. He hasn't been crowned yet. Until then, as the king's head advisor, Liz is acting queen. Oh, so that's why she's been handling everything. Yes. This whole ordeal has put a heavy burden on her shoulders. It's even worse considering she just got back. She's handling it well, though. Responsibility is one of her strengths. He rubs a finger on one of the metal bars, collecting dust on the tip of his glove before rubbing it off. Speaking of them, others might come down to talk to you. Ask questions and whatnot. I know you're smart, so play the situation to your strengths. Okay, I'll try. I won't let anyone hurt you. He takes my hand in his large paws and leans closer to the bars, looking into my eyes. Not even the prince? Not even the prince. I'll tell him, listen, you little wretch, he's mine. There's a moment of blissful silence as we just enjoy each other's presence before he has to leave. His forehead is pressed to mine, and I feel warmth. It's like whenever he's around, nothing else matters. He pulls away, still holding my hand. I'll be back, love. I always will. He steps away slowly, still trying to hold my hand. My fingertips slide off his gloved paw, and he begins to walk away. I love you, Lyall. There's a pause and I hear him turn around. I love you too, Richter. I'm going to do my best to help you in any way I can. After that, I hear him walk off. The sound of his padded feet walking down the halls fades away with each step getting quieter. I feel more and more cold. I can even hear him pass a guard on the way out of the corridor, but I can't make out what he says. The air and the weather begin to take over as I begin to feel weak. The sun is already beginning to set and the temperature is dropping fast. I walk over to the bench and lay down on it, using the blanket as a sort of cushion. Small pains work their way through my body and up to my head, keeping me from worrying about how chilly it is down here. I probably should have asked Lyall if he could get someone to send Leif down here. He probably doesn't want to see me right now, but I'm definitely in need of some medicine. Something to ease the pain. At least until I can figure out what's going on. I just hope that it's not anything lethal or anything with lasting effects. When did this even start? Only a few weeks ago, I think. To think that only a little over a month ago I was back in Erin. My room was so comfortable, and I had my own tower in the castle, which overlooked the entire capital and the ocean beyond. I would watch the sunset over the horizon every evening while drinking the finest wine. The sun's golden light would bounce off the tops of the roofs and cast a yellow glow onto the misty air above. It was a pampered life, much better than that of my childhood, but I wasn't very happy. I rest my head on the pillow and close my eyes, trying to think of something other than my situation or the pain my body feels. Back then, every day was the same. I would work for hours every day, and then what? Sometimes I would just sit in my room reading a book. Other times I would visit the local brothel and try to have a night full of pleasure. Those nights were only full of temporary joy, though. Those men only took pleasure in my company because they were paid to. And at the end of the night, I was left feeling empty. It was only a little over a year ago, and I was naive. I still am. In spite of what's happened, I can't help but think Being sent here was the best thing to happen to me. For the past month, life has felt like it's worth living. On the road here, I reminisced on the stories I read and songs I heard of the lands beyond Erin. It made things exciting and simple. The songs lie, though. They tend to always do. There is one thing that I can be correct in my judgment on, however. I've met a gallant knight who loves me for who I am. Someone who doesn't want anything from me. All he wants is me. And I love him. But I can't fully rely on him to solve this predicament I'm in, as much as I wish I could. I'll need to be able to find my own way out of the situation when the time comes. I need to play this smart. I lay there for what feels like a few more minutes with my mind jumping between thoughts. The pain in my head isn't going away either, as the time passes faster and faster. In fact, it's getting worse. Having my eyes closed at this point just hurts, so I open them. The sun has set over the mountains, its rays shining into the sky above just barely visible. The moon is already high among the stars, and I watch as small flurries of snow drift through the window. Moonlight refracts through the snow, making each piece sparkle and glitter like stars. They land in a puddle on the ground and melt into the rest of the muddy water. For some reason, this visual fills me with a sense of sadness. I considered covering up the barred window with a blanket to allow for better sleep tonight, but I don't have anything to hang up with. I don't even have the desire to sleep anyway. The last thing I need is to slowly lose my sanity in this cell after having more nightmares. Ugh. Another sharp pain surges through my body like lightning, causing me to sit up. A distorted, violent image flashes across my vision. My heart is racing, and despite the cold, I can feel myself sweating. There it is again. Standing up after another bolt of pain causes me to panic. Something must be terribly wrong. I have to call for help. There should be a guard at the end of the hall. Am I finally getting through? Great heavens above, that took years. I stop in my tracks and my eyes widen. At first, I think that someone outside of my cell is talking to me, but... Hello? Nobody's there. The voice sounded as if it was echoing in my head. My body finishes tensing up and I feel a chill run down my spine. Am I dreaming? No, this isn't a dream. There's just something about it that feels different. It feels strange. Another horrible shock of pain slithers throughout my nerves, this time causing me to collapse onto the bench, similar to last night. My vision is slowly fading, but so does everything else. The sound of wind. The smell of the musty cell. All of my senses seem to have shut down. Am I dying? Am I dead? No. I'm entirely sure that if I was dead, either something or nothing would have happened by now. Right now, I'm just floating. If this was the afterlife, being trapped alone with my thoughts would surely send me over the edge. I must be dreaming again. But nothing's happening. For the briefest moment, I feel and think nothing. It's pure bliss. Suddenly, my vision is flooded with bright colors. A vortex spirals ahead of me, spinning rapidly and constantly changing. There are colors that I've never seen before. Wind blows in my face and causes my clothes and hair to flow behind me in a chaotic fashion. What the hell is going on? Usually my dreams aren't this crazy. I look down at the ground and realize that there isn't any, which causes me to fall to my knees in shock. Whatever I'm standing on seems like a thin sheet of glass, but it's too perfect to be anything like that. It's as smooth as silk and seems to run like water. A shimmering mist flies out from behind me where my legs touch the ground. It's not unlike how a ship leaves a wake as it cuts through water. My hands press into the glass firmly, and it feels cold. It's not painful though, and no matter how hard I press my hands into it, they won't sink beneath the surface. I consider this a good thing, though, because on the other side is a chasm of spiraling colors. I slowly get up to stand on my feet. The wind is howling in my ears, and there's a bright light up ahead, so bright that it hurts to look at. Along with the sound of the wind is echoing voices and noises. Some sounds that are familiar, others that I've never heard before. Bright embers that resemble stars floating down from above and fly behind me at a high speed. I look behind me and it's the same as in front. An endless chasm of tints and tones spinning like a whirlpool. Chills run down my back, causing me to physically shiver. This is beautiful, yet terrifying. Nobody is here, from what I can tell. That doesn't stop me from calling out, though. Hello? My voice echoes down the tunnel, repeating everything back to me as if mocking me. Is anyone there? Again, nothing but my own voice answers back with the same phrase. Amidst the mockery, there's another voice. You seem awfully calm. Usually, most spend their first few moments either throwing up or shouting into the void with terror. It's that voice again. Where are you? Over here. I turn to face forward and have to strain my neck to look up. Before me stands a creature of large size, shrouded in bright, viridescent flames. I alone would have to stand on Lyall's shoulders in order to be at eye level with them. Their fur is also shrouded in an unnatural dark shadow, completely unaffected by the blaze of flames behind them. Each tuft shines and refracts in the light like a perfectly polished piece of flint, with teal sparks flying off. It's a mesmerizing and terrifying sight, and I sense a powerful energy coming off of them. 6 arms come out from their upper torso, each one looking different from the last. Not only that, but there's also 2 tails. Their teal eyes pierce into my soul, but have a soft look on them. The last thing I notice is a shimmering green crease running around their pectoral, along with the glowing crest of Tygren on their belly. This part never changes, though. Are you done staring? Their voice is masculine and strong, but has a mellow tone to it. Not as threatening as their physical appearance. You'll have to forgive me. I'm finding it very hard not to. One of their sets of arms cross, and the other set places their paws firmly on their hips. You're not the first. All is forgiven. The sparks from the flames on their backs fly by my face, but if any are landing on me, they certainly don't hurt. Am I dreaming? There's a dreadfully long pause before they answer. It's complicated, but no. This isn't a dream, Richter. You know me? Of course. I know a lot of things. Most of it is useless, but it has its moments. They talk a lot. Almost like a child talking to an adult in a very fast manner. Am I dead? This time they answer immediately. No, you're not dead. Then what's going on? The wind around us rushes faster, changing current in an unpredictable way. The sound is loud, but not oppressive. Shimmering dust flies out from under their padded feet and blows past me like a sandstorm. Richter, I'm going to explain this in a way that is easy to understand, but it will be shocking. I somehow doubt you'll have too much trouble understanding this, though. Understanding what? That you are a very gifted person. What are they talking about? No, I'm not. What gift could I possibly have? Yes, you are. You might even consider it a curse. That depends how you use it. Use what? They take a moment to answer, crossing a set of their arms. Have you ever had dreams that seem real? Experiences that are not your own? They hold up a paw. Has there ever been a moment where you've been attacked by terrible headaches and sharp pains? Yes, once or twice, but... A shiver runs up my body, and the legs I've been kneeling on begin to feel weak. Those are just nightmares. Coincidences. They point at me. Is that truly what you believe? Or is that just what you want to believe? This question sits in my ears and blocks out the noise of everything else around me. They're right. These aren't just coincidences, and deep down I've always known that. What's going on? You have an ability. You may not consider yourself a special person, but you have a very special ability, and I'm here to guide you through controlling it. You're going to tell me what this is? Since your birth, you've had the ability to see beyond the present. Those dreams you had were visions, Richter. Visions of the past, from others' perspective. What? That's not possible. How could that even work? I think back to the horrible nightmare I had about Rainier. Was that? You've had this ability your whole life, but over time, it has weakened. The potential for this power to become weaker with each person who inherits it. The span of time that a mortal has been able to inherit it has increased to just above 1,000 years. Your entire race has most likely forgotten about these individuals. You're only just now having clear visions, but you're not able to control them. That is why I am here. My head feels light, and the feeling in my feet is completely gone. Who are you? You don't know who I am yet? This was expected. To your people, I am known and named for many things. The Creator, the Supreme Being, I've been referred to as a demon no more than one occasion. But I am simply the one who built the foundations for this world. The one who guides everything, yet has no control. Tygren. A short pause follows after my outburst before he responds. What? The wind begins to slow down, becoming a light breeze, and the colors around us slow down, like a wheel on a cart. You're Tygren, aren't you? The god that created our world? The one who our continent is named after? The wake of dust flying out beneath us is now a gentle cloud of sand. It's relieving to not have the sound of wind in my ear anymore, but now this area feels empty. Yes, I am Tygren. I am the god of your world, but here I am just a guide. You hold almost as much power here as I do. And this form you've taken, it's a trick? A trick of the light. Before me now stands a tiger, vibrant and strong with glowing green eyes. They're not just a tiger though. Their form is made up of 3 different animals from what I can tell. The second animal is some sort of reptile. It looks like a snake from the tail, but I could be wrong. The last animal is a bird. The large wing hands that are as yellow as honey sprout from beneath their other set of arms. They're completely naked, but have no reproductive organs. How did you know I was your god? Most don't figure it out that fast, especially not the non-religious ones. I haven't been in a place of worship in years, but I remember your form being that of a chimera. I also recognize the symbol on your torso. I say this lightly pointing to the triangle on his belly. Interesting. And I thought you weren't able to keep a level head in dire situations. He chuckles to himself, each belt booming throughout the cavern. It just came to me, I suppose. Now, if it's okay, I'd like to take up more of your time by asking some more questions. Time doesn't pass here. Well, for me it doesn't, but if you come here unconscious, then it will. So, I am asleep. Is this the heavens, afterlife? They shake their head. No. The afterlife is a completely different ordeal. Something I won't explain to you. It would end up being a burden. They raise a hand. This is your mind's eye. The place where you can transcend time and body. They gesture around with their arms. It's your sanctuary. My sanctuary? Why is it so calm now? It is yours. It will react to your emotions and your thoughts. I study the way the walls of this tunnel move slowly, almost as if they're barely moving at all. I never see it get this calm this fast. I walk up to one of the curved walls of the chasm and run my fingers along the side. They cut into the wall, and on the other side is more layers of light. Dust flies off my hand, similar to the floor. I've had a lot to stress about lately. I'm all out of room in my mind to fret about this, especially since I don't know what this means for me yet. He puts on a quizzical look. What this means for you? I know you're doing your best to explain this, but it's a lot to take in. Along with that, my mind tends to wander a lot. That's okay. This isn't something that you could comprehend in a day. Not only that, but I'm a bit restricted. Restricted? They raise a hand to their chest and run a finger along the glowing scar. A punishment from the higher gods. Tygren's scar? I remember that the mountain range northwest of Irin was named for religious reasons, but didn't think it was that important. Yes. Stops me from giving away too much information to mortals. Past events caused great chaos and left me punished. So you can share your wisdom with me, but not direct knowledge? They frown. Yes. The collective knowledge of this world is something you will have to attain yourself. It is not something I can give you. All of the collective knowledge of the world? That could make someone extremely powerful. But something feels off. There must be a catch. Earlier you said it was a curse. Something that could either help or burden me. Their eyes brighten and I can see that they've been eager to have this brought up. That I did. This ability is extremely powerful. The higher gods sometimes question me for bestowing it. Their tail swishes as they scratch their chin with a tiger paw. But the world needs someone to act as their guide. Guide them towards a brighter future by making sure that mistakes of the past are not repeated. This power should only be used for the greater good. Any user who uses it for selfish intentions is punished, and the cycle grows weaker. The breeze around me sends a chill up my spine as I say this. So I will ask you this one question. I ask it of everyone. Everything around me slows, even the mist beneath my feet. If you could see any event from the past, and any event from the future, what would they be? And answer truthfully, I'll know if you're lying. I look down at the ground and attempt to think about this question hard. This is always so much fun. I guess I'll start with the first. If I could see any event from the past, what would it be? To be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind is what I've been questioning for the past day. Who killed Raynar? Is that selfish, though? No, I don't think it is. I want justice for my king. This isn't just to save myself. This isn't about me. But what would I do if I could see the future? Tygren didn't mention being able to see the future. Maybe it's a trick question. I'm ready to answer. Good. Go on. If I could see anything in the past, I would want to see who murdered my king. Not for the safety of myself, but for the justice of his kingdom. An interesting answer. And about the future? I gather my thoughts and continue. The future is more difficult. The possibilities are endless and there's no event that is set in stone. But in a theoretical sense, I suppose I would wish to see a tragic event before it happens, so that I could prevent it. Tygren bites his lower lip with curiosity before responding. That's a unique response. It isn't the first time I've heard it, though. They step back. Thank you for answering my question. You have provided me with great insight. So, it's true then. They stop in their tracks and look down at me. Can I really see the past? Is it really possible for me to figure out who killed my king? They rub their chin with one of their hands and look at me with a concerned gaze. Yes, it is possible. But you will need to train. Right now, your experience only allows you to see distant memories. And this has only happened because of certain triggers. Hearing them say this reminds me of how I had that vision of Elena's death right after hearing about it. That happened 10 years ago. Anything recent would be harder to grasp. A twisted memory of the past. They sigh. For the past month, you've been becoming your own person more and more. No longer are you an onlooker or a passerby. You finally removed your mask. Uh, okay. We will speak again. How? I have a feeling you already know. And with that, their figure slowly fades away, the light behind them refracting through their body like glass. At first, I'm lost, not knowing what to do next, but then I feel an empty pain in my stomach. I can feel my eyes physically gleam with light as everything around me closes. I hear one last thing before I am enveloped in comforting darkness. Your eyes can see beyond the horizon, beyond the skyline. Use this. I'm back in my cell. My head is leaning up against the wall and my body is sprawled out on the stone bench. My body feels completely exhausted, but not in a sleepy way. Was I dreaming? I lift myself up slightly and look out the window. The sun's rays are still being cast over the mountain like a golden crown. Time didn't pass. Even if I only slept a wink, the light from the sun shouldn't be visible at all. So it was real. Either that or I'm crazy. Can I really see into the past? It would make sense considering everything that's happened. That vision that I had where I was looking through Rainier's eyes, it was too real. Does this mean I could do it again? See back in time and figure out who killed him? I can't see how it would help me though. Not like anyone would believe me. I take the ring off my finger and fiddle with it in my hands, sliding it on and off, watching it gleam in the moonlight. Focusing on objects helps me to think. I see another object gleam in the light. It's a shimmering object stuck in one of the piles of straw, like it's being hidden. Walking over to it, I reach in and pull out a small shard of glass. No, it's a piece of a mirror, about as big as a spearhead. Maybe someone was going to use it as a weapon? I lift it up to my face and try to look into it to see a reflection. The shard is scratched to hell, and there's not a very clear image. My face is slightly warped in the reflection, but I can make out everything. My hair is a bit disheveled, and I look like I haven't slept in 2 days. Something does strike me as odd. I swear my eyes were green. Now that I get a closer look, they're blue. An extremely bright and vibrant blue, almost like diamonds. They were green before, I swear they were. Suddenly, I think back to what Tygren said a few minutes ago. You finally removed your mask. Maybe there's a correlation to my eyes changing color and those visions? A side effect of some sort? I place the mirror shard deeper into the straw pile I got it from, making sure nobody would be able to see it. I've still got the ring in my hand and walk back over to the bench, sitting down on it with my back to the window. I feel stuck. Like everything that's happened so far has led me here, and now I can't do anything. My only hope is to try and see the past. I've done it before. I know I have. This isn't a trick, and I need to start believing it. Even if nobody believes me, I can try to figure out evidence. Proof that can be used against the killer. Even so, I can have some solace in knowing who the killer is before I am executed. A tremble shoots up my body as I think about being walked to the chopping block. That won't happen. I'll find a way. And I'll have Lyall to help me along the way. Live by one's wits. Who was that? At first it sounded like Tygren is speaking to me, but they don't sound like that. The voice is muffled and twisted. As if someone were to grab the words and wring them out like a rag. And yet, they feel familiar. Like I've heard them before. Live by one's wits. Advice, maybe? Another past memory sent to torture my mind with riddles is more likely. Makes me almost wish I didn't have this skill. I shake my head slightly and focus on the ring again. I need to play this smart. I can't go around acting like a fool anymore. This is the forest, and I'm the fox being burned out of my den. My only hope is to find another way to tunnel out. And I'm going to need help from those I trust. To be continued. Ooh. Obviously, Richter wasn't gonna get out of the cell like this quickly. And obviously, Lyall wasn't gonna like spirit him away, in the middle of the night and say, like, Richter, come with me, I'm gonna take you to safety or something like that. They weren't gonna run away. Because Lyall, like Rannoch, is a little bit duty bound. And although I feel that Lyall is the better wolf boyfriend, um at the very least, he's being a bit more open about his feelings with his human, unlike someone who's just going to dump them. Um, well, you know, we just have to wait until things work themselves out for both, humans and their wolves. But yeah, going back to Lyre, um, it's interesting that the deity of this world decided to, pop up and talk with Richter and basically tell him, like, hey, those visions, those dreams that you thought were, hallucinations or, psychosis? Well, turns out it's a power that you have that you can use, you know, to aid the world. So he's kind of like I don't want to call him an oracle because he's not an oracle, but he kind of is. I mean, maybe seeing into the past is easier for these people because it turns out that it's like a long line of people that can do it. So perhaps seeing into the future is also possible for them. It's just extremely difficult. It's not that easy to just, close your eyes, have a dream about something that happened in the past. Either in the near past or the distant past. But anyways, so what are your thoughts? Are you excited to see how these powers will develop? Are you excited to see how Lyall will save Richter? And I'm assuming that Andreas will try to hurt Richter, because as far as he's concerned, the human killed his, father. And, now he's an orphan now, basically. And I'm curious if Liz, the only other basically human in this empire or this kingdom that we have seen of, might not be related to the assassination, because with Richter here, he is set to become the new God, what was that word? The new right hand of the next king, which would be Andreas. And maybe he would also start working for Raynar. So perhaps she thought that she was going to be phased out. So she's like, well, we're not going to let that happen. I'm going to frame the human and, basically stay in power. Basically, she pulled a Cersei from Game of Thrones, where she's the queen mother, but not really. She's more like the queen because the little boy is too small to be king right now, so I'm going to be, handling the day-to-day right now. But this could also be one of those kingdoms where it's like, oh, well, he's the heir, so it doesn't matter that he's like 12 or whatever age he is, he's going to be the king. And we'll just have to hope that the advisors are competent enough to, keep the little boy from doing anything stupid. But, you never know. She might try to off the little boy too. And again, this is me speculating. This is just a visual novel game theory. But yeah, so nobody think that this is real, okay? Because I said something in another visual novel, and you people think that it's actually what happened, but it's not. It was just me speculating. But yeah, again, so, write down what you guys think happened, or is going to happen, or might have happened. So yeah, and we all read the comments. And anyways, so thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Lyre yourself, if you haven't already, because some people are very impatient, you can find it over on itch. And you can find a direct link to it from the creator's Twitter page, which I will obviously link down in the description. And if you would like to support Project Lyre, I will link down the Patreon, which will net you early access to builds of Lyre as they are released. And, it would mean a lot to the creators. It means a lot when you support their Patreon, okay? And I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next episode. And, remember how I asked you guys for questions for the creators of Home Somewhere Else and Heart of Amethyst? Well, those videos should be coming out soon. The first one for Home Somewhere Else should be, right around the corner. I just, need to do a little bit of tweaking here and there, but it should be coming out soon. And the Heart of Amethyst one should be following soon after, okay? And after this, you will hopefully see Supernova, because it's been getting pushed back by Remember the Flowers, by Far Beyond the World, and now by this. And then probably by the interview, which I'm so sorry for the devs who asked me to read Supernova. Well, one of the devs. Well, the artist. But yeah. You'll be seeing it soon, and I hope you guys like it, because I liked it, and I like superhero stuff, so, it's gonna be part of the channel whether you guys like it or not. Along with, the other superhero story that's coming from the Echo Project, which is called Glory Hounds. So yeah. So I'm excited for both of those. And anyways, so I guess I'll be seeing you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.